it's Thursday night. Time for another episode of Thrifty Business. I'm your one host, Jason Thrifts.
Hi, I'm your co-host, Debbie. Thrifts too when they're open.
How are you, Debs? What's happening?
I'm good. Not much.
All right, let's not waste any time because let's get to cocktails. Here we go. Whoops.
Oh.
Now it's time for Jay's Tiki Talk. Each week, I drink a different rum out of a different tiki mug and try and match it up to my guest. And our guest today is a longtime friend of both Debbie and I, Alan Cohen. Hello, Alan. How are you?
Hey, everyone. Hey, Jason. Hey, Debbie.
Nice to see you.
Yay.
All right. So this was a fun one because I get to, the whole reason to do the tiki mugs was also to educate. And some weeks I forget to educate, but not this week. So Alan loves cruising, and we've been on. He's been on the Secret Beach cruise that we've done 2 of now.
Yeah.
So I busted out my Captain Scully mug, which is a little skull in a boat.
Oh.
So we'll sip that. Mm-hmm. And since we've ended up in Mexico together many times, I'm drinking Mexican rum today, Macambo.
Nice.
And each bottle this looks different. Each bottle, it becomes a piece of art. So they put whatever this little like straw stuff on, and then it kind of adheres to the bottle. So no two adhere the same. And here is your little drop of knowledge. If you find Captain Scully and you got to spell it correctly, you can sell for a lot of money. That was new for, I think, around $25-30. A member of the thrifting board found it for $3 about 3.5 months ago or so in the thrift store when we could thrift. And this was his sale, $225. But it is CAP''N''SQULLY. So if you happen to find this mug anywhere, and it always sells for around $200 now. So even if you found it for $50, $75, pick it up for sure.
And that would be one that I'd be saying, is this Tiki?
All right. Deb wants to try and stump me today. So this ought to be something.
I know, a little bit of plantation rum and my favorite caffeine-free Pepsi.
So that's from John Angostura's Nugget.
Yes,
hard to say his name.
Oh, right. And I thought you wouldn't get this one.
Well,
that's an easy one. And what you got, Alan?
Nothing alcoholic because I need to keep a clear mind, and I'm a total lightweight with booze. But I do have my 10-cent tiki mug that I picked up at a garage sale. 10 cents.
Tiki Farm and Crazy Al designed that one.
Pro.
There we go. I'm full of dumb knowledge. So thank you for being on. Alan's going to be talking about Boy Scouts, Boy Scout badges. There is money to be made. Wait until you see how much money there is to be made. So hang out, relax, and we'll see you in a little bit, Alan.
Great.
And before we get into our first segment, Debbie has a little. Oh, I meant to do this. So Debbie has Debbie's PSA. So there we go. Boom and boom and boom. There we go.
Oh, you may be able to see or maybe not, but I had some pre-skin cancer burnt off 2 days ago. So I had a spot on my nose forever. I was always trying to hide it. And I have some stuff that I was like, why is this never healing? So I finally went to the dermatologist. He burned it off. I forget which brand. It's not the serious one. It's not one that would kill me, but any skin cancer can if you don't take care of it. So I just wanted to remind everybody, please go. If you have a sore on your face or somewhere that's not healing after months and months, go to your dermatologist, have them check you out, because melanoma is that melanoma is the bad one that can kill you. And it's just a little black dot, which I don't have. So make sure you're watching your skin and your children's, look at
and wear sunscreen.
Oh, sunscreen and hats. And yeah, he warned me about that too.
Well, I'm glad you got that taken care of. And let's have some fun tonight, shall we?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Here we go. Now it's time for our scores of the week. These are the items that you should be on the lookout for when you're out thrifting.
Yes, let me get my papers. Shakespeare Works Volume 1 and 2 leather. This is old 1878. I mean, I'm like, wow, that's mind-blowing. We accepted the best offer of $80 plus shipping on this. We had it for $89, so that was really easy. And because Elisa Goldman, I think is her name, asked us to speak Shakespeare, I would have to do a little bit of that. National Speak Shakespeare Days was April 23rd, which is his birthday, from 1564. So I created a little poem for us. Shall I compare thee to a flea market day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. So long as thrift stores, garage, and estate sales can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives eBay, Poshmark, Etsy, Mercari, and this gives life to thee and thou bank accounts.
Yes. That was awesome.
Yes.
All right, so what fun are you going to do with this one?
I didn't think about this one. Let's talk about children's books by Joy Berry. You know, this is the matte cover, so I didn't think they would sell for so much. They sold for $62, which was our asking price plus shipping. But typically we're looking for the glossy ones. I forget the name of those books. Anyway, Joy Berry, she has two different sets, and this is the older set. You know, so this was set in our profit pile for a while. Hey, we got $62 out of them.
Very nice. Oh, wait. Why is that? That's where it went. I opened the tab once, couldn't figure out where it was. Whoops. Ignore what you just saw. That's for later.
Okay. Cohen shoes, women's leather slip-ons. We sold for $29.99 plus tax for our full asking price. Nice.
Yeah, I had yours out of order. Sorry, Deb.
Oh, that's okay. The Family Creative Workshop Complete 24 books hardcover. We accepted a best offer of 58. I think we had them at 80. I can't see that small print. These are one of those sets of books that, like, all through this staying home stuff, and we're all selling arts and crafts, I went, duh, these books are amazing. They are full of all kinds of crafts. You even show you how to paint your Volkswagen. And so we got them listed, and they sold really quick. And I wanted to read what the lady said to me. She sent us a message. If I could find it. I had it here. Oh, she said, thank you very much for the second chance to get this collection. So she must have tried some other time. I have 5 children in my household, and it will help develop their skills as homesteading kids. So I thought, how perfect. Went to a homesteading family, but these books, I was tempted to keep them just because every book is full of all different kinds of crafts and things you can make. And so keep an eye out for those.
And real quick, John, no, they weren't international sales. I was in my eBay as being from France because I was looking at some shipping earlier. So that's why I just fixed. So yes, ignore the fact that you saw international and all those because that was just me. All right, man, all my stuff's out of whack. I don't know. I usually check this stuff. All right.
You're out of whack.
So sold this in sync blanket, throw, whatever you want to call it.
Oh.
I paid $3.75 at Savers, sold for $36.89.
Nice.
From that boy band to this boy band, selling books on eBay. Now I'm getting into Deb's territory.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I paid $2.49 at Savers. This is the program to the Cirque du Soleil show, Beatles Love. When the world opens again and we can travel and go to shows, if you've never seen Love and you're coming to Vegas, go see it. It is an amazing show. We've seen it 4 times, and every time it seems different to us because it's in the round. So we sit at a different location. It's an amazing show. It is so next level, incredible. But yeah, listed the book on Amazon and did my own shipping.
Nice.
Picked out these awesome Reeboks. They're new, but they're throwbacks out of the glass display case for like $15 at Savers, and sold them for took a best offer of $99.99.
Nice. Love those.
And Debbie and I were just talking about this before we went live. I know the fine art of buying tiki mugs and then sitting on them. So it is a fine art. You got to be able to buy them and wait. But when I bought these, they were brand new for $40. And I sat until they were sold out. And then I sat even longer until people were like, I need one of these. So yeah, I just sold it for $147. So
wow.
No, I do not do any FBA. Hey, when you put those up there, leave them up for a little bit longer so I can answer, please. I do not do FBA. That was merchant fulfilled, John. Everything is merchant fulfilled.
Love the color on that tiki mug.
Yeah, isn't that cool? All right, now it's time for... And now from flipping cassettes to flipping CDs. Nope. Whoops. Now it's time for CD and cassette scores of the week. And as always, we start out with flipping cassettes first. Whoops. Okay, now I'm ready. All right. So not a huge sale, but I wanted to show that Mercari is a good way to move some stuff. This lot of 3 Rick Springfield sat on eBay for like 2 years. and they've been a Macari for like, I don't know, 3-4 months, and they sold $10. Not a huge profit, but just want to show that cassettes are selling. And even better was this Grateful Dead. I did pay $5 for it. Europe 82. Now here's the deal. I had it for $44. I was the cheapest one on Amazon. Had been listed for quite a while. Customer reached out and said, hey, I'll buy it right now if you drop it to 25. Sure. I got no problem dropping 25 because I made 5 times my money. And I moved another cassette out of the way so I can list some more. So I was
Did you sold that on Amazon?
Yeah, I was very, very happy.
A customer reached out to you now and like made an offer to you. Oh,
basically, yeah. Okay. I'm like, sure. And the second I changed it, I wrote him back, said, okay, it's changed. And then he said, great, I'll take it.
Awesome.
And now from flipping cassettes to flipping CDs. All right, let's start with the cows. And here's because it kind of correlates to the Rick Springfields. The cows were listed on Amazon for 2.5 years and never sold. If you look in the lower right-hand corner, I paid $19 at Amoeba Records, put it on eBay for, oh, this is a screenshot. Put it on eBay like 3 weeks ago, already sold it for $41.
Nice.
So, people say, well, you can sell on Amazon. I can't. But yeah, but some stuff sells better on eBay. This sat for 2.5 years.
Wow.
Boom. All right. You might not think you know this, but you know the song Hot Butter by Popcorn.
Probably.
But I've sold the CD like 10 times in the last 10 years. I always find it. So paid $15 for this one. Sold it for $43.
Wow.
Lost in Space. I loved watching this when I was a kid. Great question, John. Yes, I use number 0 envelopes for cassettes. What I wanted to point out on this one, Deb, is if you notice in the lower right corner, I paid $3.99 at a record store in Chicago. If you look in the upper left corner, they bought it before at a used record shop called PJ's Used Records for $15. So they spent $15. Now, if the record store they traded it into only sold it for $4, what'd they get for it? 50 cents?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, so when people say, hey, everyone knows about selling online, no, they don't. Because the record store gave that poor person 50 cents. They sold to me for $4, and then I sold it for $58 on Amazon.
Amazing. And I do remember that show.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah. You
remember the movie Hoosiers with Gene Hackman? Great basketball movie. This was priced at $9.99, Deb, but if you look at the little 0 I wrote on the price tag, meaning it was a sale where you buy so many, you get so many free. So I essentially got this for free, and I sold it for $90 on Amazon.
Oh my gosh. You never cease to amaze me. I always think, oh, I've seen it all. I've heard it all. No way.
Nope. But wait, there's more. Now look at this. This looks so low rent. Ronald Binns and his Romantic Strings, Summer Rain. If you were the only girl in the world, how low rent does that look?
For sure. Just seeing the word strings on there, I would probably ask why.
Not a really fancy graphic. I paid $10. Boom, $99.
Jaw drop.
Yep. So if you aren't flipping, if you're not flipping CDs and cassettes yet, what are you waiting? I have so many good scores. I am so backed up. And I sold stuff today. I have already 2 weeks worth of scores to share the next 2 weeks. And so it was just crazy money to be made. Now, but not every CD comes from the regular priced section. Ooh. But wait, there's more. Hold up. It's time for Stacey's budget bin scores. And Stacey's right here. Woohoo!
Stacey.
This is blood oranges. Usually the budget bin stuff we've never heard of, but that's Stacey's specialty. We go to a record store, she finds $1 or $2 bin, and then goes to town. So we paid 99 cents for this and sold it for $15. Now, not huge sales, but if you can keep buying 99-cent items and keep selling for $15, that adds up. And so that one was on Amazon. So again, I want to show both. This is David Axelrod Earth Rot. I had it on eBay. Stacey picked it out of a $1 section and it sold for $16.39. So Stacey tends to pick out about anywhere from like $15 to $20 CDs or $2 CDs when we're at record stores. So if all those turned into $15, times 20 every store we stop at, that is good money.
And they're so small to store and they're easy to ship.
You got it. All right.
But I didn't sell any this week. No CD.
No, bummer. Now it's time for Where in the World Did Our Stuff Go? If you are not shipping Now it's time for our duds of the week. Do not let our mistakes be yours. I'll get it figured out soon.
That's okay. You keep me on my toes. Okay, this nifty little dud has been listed since 2018 for $8.99. I did realize I spelled the word gardener wrong, but Bill sent out an offer, so I can't fix it. I don't know what I was thinking. I bought that because back when I was selling FBA, I scanned it and it came up with like a really good price. But then something happened to the market, and then I don't know. So anyway, it's a dud sitting there.
Just waiting.
Yeah. And this cute little Santa Claus tree topper, he was listed since November 2017. And we had it at $44.99, and somebody sent us a best offer of $18 plus shipping. So let's just take it. And the buyer, he messaged us like 3 messages. He was so excited and so thankful that we accepted his best offer, that it was worth losing money on.
Yeah, so sometimes those you just got to take, and it made someone's day, and then karma comes back around.
Yep, and he's out of there.
All right, so here are my duds. How cool is this Batman sweatshirt? I had it in my eBay store for 2 years and 3 months. I ran it at auction 4 times at a $9.99 starting bid, and someone finally took it.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so, I mean, all right. I thought it was cool, but apparently no one else did. So, bye-bye.
And it's a 2XL, so it should have been easy to sell.
Yep. Now, this one, if you look at the title, I did black out part of the bad word. The name of the band, all one word, is Corpse Effin' Art. And so I wanted to show this one for 2 reasons. I always show my duds and CDs because every once in a while the master makes a mistake. I paid $8 and only sold it for $12. So there's no profit. It's a waste of my time. But what I wanted to share with you, if you have a media item, a record, a book, a CD that has what we call a bad word in the title, media items, you're allowed to use those bad words. You can't use it as a descriptor. You can't say, this is effing green. You can't say that. But if the band has the bad word in their title, you absolutely can list it on eBay. I have sold many, many bands with bad words in the title over the years, but I wanted to share that with you.
I sold a T-shirt that had a B word in it, and it was all part of the phrase, and it was fine. I sold it.
Yep. As long as it's there and you're not just using it as a descriptor. All right, let's try this again. Now it's time for Where in the World Did Our Stuff Go? If you are not shipping internationally, you are leaving out 7.3 billion with a B potential customers. That's awesome. Oops. So this week Debbie didn't have one, but I did, and I had a bunch, but I wanted to share this one because this is a Trader Vic's Tiki Canoe Bowl that Debbie drank out of 2 weeks ago. Yeah. It's so odd that of all the Tiki things I have, 2 weeks later, and when Debbie's co-hosting again, I sold this. Wow. And it's going to Seoul, South Korea.
Oh, nice.
So somewhat now, Trader Vic's does sell online and they do sell internationally. However, they price their stuff, their international shipping, way too high. So even if the person did go to their website and they found me, they're like, oh, this is way cheaper. And they bought for me.
Nice. I love that one.
All right. This is one I don't know what's next.
It's a mystery.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I got it. All right, sweet.
Does it start with a U?
Now it's time for You've Got to Be Ship Me. What to do and what not to do when it comes to shipping. Yes, it does.
Oh. we sell books, obviously. A medium mail is a 70-pound limit in a box, but I don't like shipping heavy. So I'll only go up to about 30 pounds per box. So when we know, like that big set of creative books we sold, we'll put in the listing, maybe shipped in more than one box due to size and weight. That way we're not locked into it if we change our mind. Sometimes we'll say 2 or more boxes. I've shipped sets of encyclopedias that were like 4 boxes. So we put that in our listing. And then I wanted to show you how to make a second shipping label, because you got to get a second tracking. So you go, says go back to shipping. We can't read, it's too small. Go back to shipping, labels. And then that's going to pop up, print another label. And it will print another one for you with a different tracking number. And then they both go into eBay. So they make it really easy. We do keep track on our spreadsheet of the 2 different, and we'll do box 1 of 2 and 2 of 2 on the box so that the buyer knows what to expect. One time I forgot to tell the guy and he called me, I don't have all the books. I said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. There's another box coming, because it didn't come on the same day. So sometimes they do take, one comes one day and the next comes the next day. But I always try to imagine some little grandma that bought a set of books and it's 70 pounds or 60 or 30 or 50, and she's trying to get it into the house because it's so heavy. So in 2 boxes, it's a little easier for people to move them. And if someone drops the books, they're more likely to get all busted apart if it's a big, heavy chunk of books. So that's what we
makes it easy when you find out where the shipping labels are. All right, so a lot of you saw us on the thrifting board. My neighbors have 2 teenage daughters. The older one actually works for me when we're not under quarantine. And they have been, during their time at home, they've been selling all the stuff that mom and dad don't need anymore around the house. They've done quite well. They're closing in on like $2,000 in the past like 5 or 6 weeks. So pretty good. So you might have seen this. They sold my neighbor's collection of empty Ben & Jerry containers. And he, at the time when he ate these, he wanted to eat one of each flavor and then put them on display. For, that was his jam. And so they sold them, and they said, hey, we sold. He sent me a message. He goes, hey, the girl sold them. I said, good. Don't let them ship them, because I've never even shipped them. So I got to think about how we're going to ship them. Plus, it was going to Germany, so we want to make sure it got there. So it is time for 1,700 uses for pool noodles. So what we did is we stacked the containers so they were 4 equal heights, and then now pool noodles come in different sizes. We have a fatter and then a skinnier. We put a chunk of the fatter in there so it filled up the whole space, and then we saran wrapped it. So these were 4 solid columns, and then that big vat was like a gallon of Ben & Jerry's. So we put half the lids in there, and the lids were the tricky problem because you can't stack the lids. And then I took tiki mug boxes and took 3 of those and filled the rest of the lids in there. And then we put them in that box, filled it with peanuts, and then shook them down so it filled all the empty space. So it wouldn't move at all. And everything was nice bricks now. So it wasn't super fragile anymore. And ta-da, there goes 250 empty containers. I mean, $250 worth of empty containers to Germany. That is Zoe on the left and Mackenzie on the right.
That is amazing. Who would ever think someone in Germany would want to spend all that money to buy those? That I can't say it. Pool noodle, it looks like an icy. I thought it was a cherry icy.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be like, what is this when he gets it?
No, great. That's great. That's so helpful.
Now it's time for our online selling tips of the week. Doesn't matter if you're selling on Depop, Etsy, Mercari, eBay, or Poshmark. Here's some little tips and tricks to help you out when selling.
Okay, every once in a while people will talk about promoted listings and the thrifting board, and so many will say, no way, I'm not giving them more money or whatever. So I wanted to show, so far this month, out of 25 sales, 14 have sold via promoted listings. And I know I've talked about this before. It's real easy to see on your order, what's sold. So we paid for, I think that's equal $399 in sales, I think. And that's $14.58 in fees, which is at a 3.65% rate, which I don't usually go that high. Sometimes I'll go 2%. So I think it's worth it to me for $14 in seller's fees. So I want to encourage people to use promoted listings. I know Etsy's doing a very similar thing now. I was learning about that today. It's basically the same thing. And I'm thinking, wow, it does work. People are buying, and there's so much competition. So And, these are tax write-offs. I write off those $14.58. So I encourage people to try promoted listings. You don't have to do it on all of them. Do it on just a few and see if it works for you and helps you sell more.
And to answer Chris's question, yep, they knew they were buying empty ice cream for sure.
That's a good question.
All right, so this is a brand new feature in eBay that is awesome. Really helps you make the decision. When you get a best offer on an item, it now tells you right on the offer page, and I don't think it's on the app yet, unfortunately, but it tells me that this dud of a paint by number had been on eBay for 1,057 days, had 855 views and only 2 watchers. So when someone offered me a small $15, I happily took it because it's been there for 3 years. Okay?
Brilliant, eBay. Love it.
So especially if you sell a lot of the same things, like I've listed a ton of records in the last couple of weeks, but I've got some records that have been up for 2 years. So if someone makes me an offer on a record, if it says 24 months, I'll be more apt to deal than if it says 2 days. Okay. Yeah. So definitely pay attention to that because that's a good guide on, sometimes you get that crappy offer. You're like, oh man, I had it listed for 3 years. Take it, whatever it is. Finally, someone offered you money. Take it.
Yes, that's awesome.
All right. Oh yeah. Now it's time for Unseasonably Sold. What did you sell out of season?
Do you want to answer that question real quick before I do this?
Yeah, no, the buyer cannot see that. I don't think.
But I think they know when it's getting ready to relist. And that used to be in the past because I remember people would email me and say, hey, you're getting ready. This listing's getting ready to end. Will you take this price? So, but I don't know if that's still the same now that everything.
Yeah, it won't be because there is no more, it's always just going to be relisting. Right. So yeah, the buyer would not see that.
Yeah. Okay. Unseasonably sold. Finally, I sold this little black bunny planter listed since March of 2017. That's 3 years. We had a listed for 19 and accepted a best offer of 16 plus shipping. So I was really happy. And yeah, we included those little plastic Easter eggs so they knew they could use it for that if they wanted to.
I like it. All right. So mine includes a bonus. This is going to be so smooth. I know. I can't find it.
That's okay. We get to look at
a bonus. But wait, there's more. Hold up. It's time for Stacey's budget bin scores. So budget Stacey score. She bought this Eddie Arnold Christmas CD for 95 cents, and we just sold it yesterday for $13. Now, I say this every week. I love Christmas, and I absolutely love Christmas music. Never once in May have I ever thought, you know what I need right now? I need an Eddie Arnold Christmas CD. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how much. I mean, we've been selling Christmas music almost every third day. It's absolutely crazy, but that's why we're doing this segment. We want you all to list everything out of every season right now because Debbie's selling Easter stuff, I'm selling Christmas stuff, and it's May.
Well, and I sold that Christmas. I can't even talk today. Tree topper too.
I like that idea, Angelique. So hit me up on Facebook later, and I'll get that going. I love that idea.
Yes.
Okay, so my turn for a quick public service announcement. A lot of the country is opening slowly tomorrow. Some thrift stores are already opening. Some more are opening. We haven't done the weekly hauls in the thrifting board because of we didn't want to encourage to go out while we should be staying at home. Whether you agree with opening tomorrow or not, we're not going to discuss that, but we are going to allow posts from the thrift stores and the weekly haul. It'll be not a place to pull out your soapbox and say, yay, the country's open, or say, boo, we should be still at home. Right. Do that on your own wall. That's fine. So please keep out the discussion of good or bad. But if you are going to go out, please take precautions. If the store says you got to wear a mask, bring a mask. Make sure to wash your hands. And it's not about you. It's about everyone around you. I am 49 years old, but because of asthma, I have the lungs of a 72-year-old. So I'm more susceptible to getting problems with my lungs. So I'm being extra cautious amongst my friends. So there it is, my little PSA. If you're going to go out tomorrow, please be cautious. And we will be allowing the weekly hauls again. So there we go.
Carry hand sanitizer in your car. I'm finally starting to find it in stores to buy.
All right, quick housekeeping, then we'll get Alan right in here. A lot of good stuff coming up for those you in the Secret Beach. Tomorrow night is store review number 14, I think, we're at. These have been amazing store reviews. It's Rosvita Burrows, and I haven't looked at her store yet, so I'm excited. But every week we have found a good, like really good nugget out of everyone's store that everyone else is like, oh wow, I didn't know that, and have cleaned up their store based on that. So that's tomorrow night. Then Saturday we have the guest expert presentation of the month. It is Typhoon Mike, or Caribou Mike. He's going to be teaching us all about board games, and man, board games, puzzles, and the like are really, really selling. So this will hopefully get you encouraged to go look at your collection. And then immediately following is the first and not last, the first ever Secret Beach Saturday night cocktail party hangout. So we'll do the webinar. We'll take like a 60-second breather to go potty. And then we'll start the Zoom-like cocktail party in the Secret Beach. Then on Sunday, since a lot of people are going to have to finally switch over to manage payments on eBay in July, like my mother, she goes, Deb, well, I think I have to do it. I go, did you get an email that you're doing it? And she goes, yeah. I go, there ain't no thinking about it. You're doing it in July. Those of you who've gotten that email. So we'll talk about it. It's actually a good thing. And Alan can actually drop a little knowledge on that because he's been in it for a while now. And then next Sunday, I don't know where that came from. Next Thursday, we're doing our board meeting of May. So what's a board meeting? It is a special Thrifty Business episode where we get a panel together of like demographic people. And this week we're doing Star Wars geeks. And I say that lovingly because I am one. And since Star Wars month is May the 4th be with you. Return of the 6th. We talk Star Wars because Star Wars obviously has a lot of good things to flip. Like this one character I have right here. This is a $200 character right here. A $200 action figure.
Wow.
Any special drink for the Saturday night party? That tells me Paul has not been in the Secret Beach for over a week since I've done a video on how to make it and a post on the ingredients. Paul, naughty boy, you got to get in the Secret Beach at least once in 2 weeks because, we've done all kinds of, yes, there is a special drink. So Paul's in trouble. Yeah, so next week, I've already got a couple guests lined up. I'm going to get a couple more. So if you are a Star Wars geek and you sell online and you want to be part of the show, reach out to me or Debbie, and we'll see if we can get you on the panel. All right. Enough of that nonsense. Oh, crap. I don't have the doorbell ready. Oh, my gosh. I'm like a hot...
Ding dong.
Yeah, hold on.
Good job, Stacey.
Yeah, hold on. All right, so let me get that up there and do it again.
Ding dong.
Hey, everybody, it's Alan.
Hello.
Now, Stacey has to be here each week going, ding dong. That's the one graphic that I have not mastered yet is the thing because I'm like, I don't want to change it every week for the guests. I got to figure that out. So ding dong, it's Alan. Yay.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Alan.
Hello.
Oh, whoops. Let me get rid of that for now. There we go. And let me get rid of Debbie for a quick second. Bring Debbie back. There we go. Hey, Alan, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, Jason. How's it going?
Good. Hey, did you match your shirt to your wall or was that just a happy accident?
No, that was a happy accident.
If you were using the green screen feature, which you can also make blue screen, you could disappear into it. Just your head would be there.
Yeah, I've done that with some Zoom meetings where I've kind of disappeared. It's really freaky.
And fun.
Oh, yeah.
And fun. So, all right. So for those of you who don't know Alan has been selling for about a minute online. When did you start selling online? Just in general selling?
Well, I started selling online. You have to go back to the 1980s. I had a Commodore 64 computer, and I used a 300 baud modem I had a mail order business that I started when I was 14 in 1982. And then what I would do is post the lists on different bulletin boards. So I dial in using my 300 baud modem. That's all you could do is upload text files at the time, because if you uploaded the graphic, it could take like 2 days. So yeah. And then when the 90s came around, was using CompuServe, AOL, Prodigy, all those online page services, and Usenet news groups as well. By the time the web came around in 1993, I had been doing this for a little bit. And I've been selling full time now since 2001.
So does that mean Alan's MCM, Mid-Century
MCM.
Water?
Well, I think I am.
He's definitely the person that we know that has been selling online the longest. A 300 baud modem. Oh my God. I had a Commodore 64, but I didn't have the modem. But man,
I had the modem and the tape drive too.
Oh, I had the tape drive. For anyone who wasn't on computers back then and are selling now, you don't understand how easy we have it nowadays. For the amount of people who complain about this little hiccup and this glitch, oh my God. Back in the day, no way. I mean, it took forever to get like eBay to just like load up and then you would see what's on. I mean, it was just crazy. So,
and they had to walk their packages to the post office 2 miles through the snow.
Uphill both ways.
Well, those are the days when you had to actually turn the graphics off your browser because otherwise it would load too slowly.
When you try to download porn, I mean, look at eBay. It took forever. Yeah, I've said this before, but for those who weren't there at the beginning, eBay didn't have graphics. I mean, they had graphics on their page, but there was no pictures or anything. And I would come home from my job, and I would go back to the last thing I looked at the day before on eBay, and I looked at every single item listed on eBay since I last looked. So every 24 hours, I looked at every single item because when you would click on a link, it would change from blue to purple. So you just had to scroll backwards. That's how small it was. I could do that every single night. You couldn't do that in a minute now. What gets listed? No,
that's very true. Back at 96, I got a Sony Mavica camera. It had the floppy disk. I felt like it was so high tech.
It was at the time.
At the time, it really was. Because even having a digital camera and connecting it to your computer, you had to like open up your computer and, add it to one of the ports in the back. This is pre-USB days.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Even what iPhone do you have, hon?
7.
So Stacey has a 7. I have 11 Pro Max. I had to have her take a picture of something at home, and the quality is so less than the Pro Max. I mean, it's still a good picture, but I'm just like, eh. So thinking back to the cameras we had back then, just crazy. All right, so you've seen a thing or two. You've been around a while.
A little bit, yeah. And so now I've got some Boy Scout stuff to talk about.
Yeah. So how are you a boy? Were you a Boy Scout? Are you a Boy Scout? How'd you get kind of involved knowing about Boy Scouts?
Well, as a youth, I was a Cub Scout. I never quite transitioned into Boy Scouts. One of the reasons why is my family sold at flea markets and swap meets. And it's kind of hard to go on weekend camping trips when you're at the swap meets.
Oh, yeah.
So that kind of put an end to my career. But my son was interested in it, and he joined. And usually when my kids join things, I kind of go all in. And so I've been an adult volunteer with Boy Scouts for 17 years now. I've been a Cub Master, a lot of unit positions. I've worked at the district level with Friends of Scouting, doing fundraising with the council. So even though I acquired this collection from a good friend of mine who needed to sell and use the money for other purposes. Even though I was not and still am not an expert in Boy Scout memorabilia, I'm very familiar with the Boy Scout program because I've been actively volunteering, as I said, for 17 years now. So that awesome. Helps a lot to know, what everything kind of means.
You got to be a Boy Scout after all.
Yeah, my son's an Eagle Scout, and my daughter, when they widened it for girls to be more active. Girls have been allowed to be in scouting for some time now, but last year they opened it up where they're able to go and become an Eagle Scout. So my 14-year-old's in the program, so it's kind of got me back in at the troop level, and that's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
So here's the perfect place to share the story. I might have shared it once before, but it isn't common. Most people have not heard this. But for whatever reason, in fourth grade, so I was 9, so 1980, I felt gender equality meant that I should be able to join the Girl Scouts. And here's why I wanted to join the Girl Scouts. I didn't like the stuff that the Boy Scouts were doing. I didn't feel like being in the woods and being all like with bugs and crap. But the Girl Scouts were making things like chocolate covered pretzels. So I actually, me and a buddy, we joined the Girl Scouts. We lasted about 3 weeks. We didn't get a sash or anything, but we joined the Girl Scouts. We went to the meetings once a week for about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. And my mom was very supportive of me being a Girl Scout. But like any other 10-year-old, someone else came along. Oh, Empire Strikes Back came along. I don't got time to be a Girl Scout. I got to go watch movies now. But yes, I was fighting for, Not separating the genders back in 1980. I did my part.
They didn't have an issue with that. The other girls.
No, they didn't have an issue. Which I grew up in a small town, and they let me and my buddy join without any headaches.
Nice.
So yeah, and I was a weeblo before that, but I never really did much of anything. So,
well, you could learn a little bit about scouting now and what to be looking out for scouting stuff too.
I was a brownie. I was a brownie for a little while.
Nice. All right, so you got this collection to sell. About or maybe you counted how many pieces were in this collection?
Thousands and thousands. I have an SUV, and it filled up my SUV twice to transport.
Wow! And those are little things. They're little.
They are, but they add up. And there's some big things too. Like I've got some big vintage chests that were filled with stuff, camping gear, artwork, books, uniforms. There was actually Boy Scout mugs that were part of it, and I asked for that to be left behind because they don't sell for very much online.
No.
And I don't feel like messing with local sales on this. So, but yeah, it is a lot of stuff. So
yeah, did he collect like I collect tiki mugs? Is that the deal?
It's actually a interesting story, a good story, because it's a good friend of mine. And I actually helped him 10 years ago learn how to sell. I was there and helped him set up his eBay account and taught him how to sell on eBay. And he was, part of its collection, part of its inventory. And so, yeah, he started with a couple of items, and it's just, he's the real expert. And it just expanded. He would, go to the usual places, garage sales, estate sales, traderies, and yeah, he just found something scouting related and picked it up. So it's part collection and part inventory too.
Nice.
Now, Deb, he claims he's not an expert, Alan, but anytime you work through thousands of anything, but there's a point where you're like, I got this. You work through 10 of one thing. All right. You start working through thousands. Like I'm having Stace help me sort 7,000 records. And although she does not like it, she's gotten to be pretty decent at it where I don't have to look over her shoulder anymore. So begrudgingly, she has a new skill.
Yeah.
You go through 1,000 of anything, and you definitely, and they're good skills to have too. Like I see in the Facebook groups, people saying, how should I buy this? How much is this worth? And if you get the skills and go through, comp things and learn, you can almost instantly look at something and know what you should do. And that's the level that resellers should really try to get at with almost anything.
Now, Alan, do you enjoy this more because you are part of Scouts? So is it more like it's in your wheelhouse? And
yeah, I think it's making it easier for me just because I've been involved with scouting for so many years. And even though I've sold scouting things over the years because going out, you're going to run into scouting things. Although, if I found something kind of interesting, I'd usually try to get it from my friend Joe, who I got the collection from. So some of the things I've been going through are things that I gave to Joe. So it's kind of interesting that they've come back to me. But yeah, being an active part of scouting definitely makes it easier, but it's not a requirement to learn what you need to do and what to be on the lookout for. And that's really what I'm going to try to go over in my presentation, is to help give some knowledge so kind of what to look for, what's better than other things.
Good, because I think we're too old to join now, so we'll have to look from you.
Never too old to volunteer.
That's true.
Never too. It's only an hour a week. That's what they say to get you in. It's more than an hour a week. There's even a patch that says it's only an hour a week.
Speaking of, Ronald says, do they have a selling online merit badge nowadays?
They probably should. There's lots of merit badges. I mean, there's an entrepreneurship merit badge, so that would be part of that.
That's good.
Yeah, and one of the merit badges that I taught was personal management, which is finances. So
awesome. Yeah, maybe I should join.
All right, El's gonna drop some knowledge on us, so we're just gonna have a cocktail.
Okay, great. Well, so the Boy Scouts of America, Scouts BSA, was founded in 1910, and it's part of the worldwide scouting movement. There are 170 national scouting organizations. So there's Scouts Canada, Scouts BSA. So pretty much everything that I'm going to show you is from the United States, Boy Scouts of America, Scouts BSA. There are 170 national organizations. There are about 50 million current members of scouting worldwide. And there are a lot of former members. And that's what you're going to be looking for when you buy stuff, at garage sales, estate sales. People were part of scouting, but they probably don't think there's too much value in, patches and some uniforms and stuff. So that's where you'll find things. There are a lot of former scouts. Obviously, Jason was a Girl Scout for a few weeks, and a Weeblo too.
Yeah.
And one thing about Scouters is they love bling.
Oh.
They love bling. I'm mostly going to be talking about patches. It's been that way since the beginning. 110 years. That's a lot of patches, because even though scouting, Boy Scouts of America, it's a lot. It's made up of a lot of different parts, each producing their own patches and their own items.
Is there a museum somewhere? Do they have a museum where they put all these patches? You can go see them all?
Yeah, there are scouting museums. There's local ones, and I believe there's a national one as well. So yes, there are museums. Great resources online too. Search the web, go and Google, and there's just so much information out there. With the Scout Law, one of the points is helpful. A Scout is helpful, and people who there's such a large number of people who are collecting this stuff, and they're usually extremely helpful in passing on information and knowledge of. So it's a good community. There's Facebook groups. There's local traderies with districts and councils. So I'm going to be mainly focusing on the patches, but there are so many other things that you can run into. Over here, if I can grab it. Maybe not. This is a Cub Scout uniform from the 1930s.
Wow.
Yeah, it's got the old shoulder patches. It was part of the collection. I actually have a picture of the Scout wearing one of his uniforms when he was going to the World Jamboree in the 1930s. Pretty amazing stuff. You'll find
goosebumps.
It's pretty cool when you see a picture of that person in the uniform where you've got the picture and the uniform. There's pins, lots of pins. There's books. Here's a couple of books. You've got ephemera, lots of paper products. There's neckerchiefs, which is part of the uniform that you wear. There's sashes. There's slides. So when you tie up the neckerchief, these are some slides from Japan, actually. Japan scouting. Wow. Yeah. There's buttons. So there's just so many things that you can collect. So the different levels of scouting, there's national scouting, which sort of oversees all of the policies for Scouts BSA. People involved in scouting don't have a lot of interaction with national, but they do basically create policy, and they create some items as well. Like this is a jamboree patch from the National Jamboree from 1977. It's really where it's really at are the local councils, and in the United States there are currently 272 local councils. So the councils, each council produces its own huge variety of patches, and has so over many years. So there's also a lot of former councils, because councils, they split, they merge, they go away, and so there's just so many varieties of patches that you're going to find at the council level. And the Scout camps are managed by the local council too. So you'll see camp patches that are done by local councils. The next level down is districts, which is a smaller geographic area, and that's made up of all the different units within an area. And districts will have events and create their own patches too. And then finally, there are units, which are the troops and the packs and the crews. And those are going to have, it's not as common to have unique patches at that level, but it can happen. So where to look for these? Garage sales, estate sales, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, all really good places. When I go out garage selling, I try to wear a Scout, what's called a Class B shirt, which is not the official uniform, but it's like if you go to a Boy Scout camp, you can get T-shirts. And those have led to just even wearing the shirt, people recognize it and go, yeah, I went there when I was a kid, and I've got some scouting stuff. So it kind of instantly creates a conversation. At one garage sale, I actually talked to an older gentleman who went to the camp. The shirt I was wearing was from Camp Meriwether, which was founded in 1926. and he was at the camp in the early 1930s.
Wow.
So it was a pretty cool conversation. Went to a neighborhood sale with my daughter, was wearing a Scout shirt, and this lady had a Girl Scout uniform from the 1950s. And so we were looking at it, admiring it, and asked how much it was. And she says, it's not for sale. It's you can have it. She gave it to my daughter because she wanted that uniform to find the right person. So my daughter, who's actually a Girl Scout and a Scout BSA member, she's in both organizations. She shared that with her troop, and she's got that, and that's something she's going to hold on to.
Oh, yeah, that's precious.
Permanently. We actually ran, because it's an annual neighborhood sale. So a couple of years later, ran into the same lady, and I said, "Do you remember?" She, "Oh yeah, I remember." It's like, yeah, we still have it. She shared it, and it's just really nice. Scouters overall are just pretty awesome people.
Yeah.
So you can even go to antique malls and you'll often find patches there, but that's where having the knowledge is going to help, because you go to an antique mall and the prices are going to be higher. If you go to a garage sale, you might find like a box of stuff for a few dollars. You want to pick that up. You don't, if you have a whole box of stuff for $5 or $10, don't try to sort out what you have. Chances are you're going to make money on it, even if you don't know what you're going to make. Like even a uniform and a sash from a Boy Scout with all the patches, a real common one, that's something that might go for like $30. Nice. So, and I've at garage sales and estate sales, it's usually a few dollars. It's usually not very much money. So but there could be very expensive things as well. So Jason has a slide.
Oh yeah.
The first one is something that I found on WorthPoint, and WorthPoint has been really amazing in terms of being able to research things. This is from the 1930s. It sold on eBay in 2015 for $14,500.
It's crazy.
And it's because what this is it's filled with merit badges, and it probably has some very rare ones that were only around for a very, very short period of time. And that's why that sash is probably going for that much money. If you go to slide 1, Jason, here's one so that's one that's sold for $30, and that's a real common one. That's something you might see in a box of scouting stuff at a garage sale. So, now,
would someone look at that and buy it and then take the patches off and sell them individually, even like that $14,000 one, if there was a real rare one?
You can, and yeah, that definitely happens. It might be worth doing that. It might be worth parting it out. It might be worth selling as whole. So it just kind of depends what the patches are that's on there. This one over here is a pretty modern one, merit badges that are still in use. It's probably not going to be worth taking them off and selling them individually. It'll probably go more, but sometimes with older stuff, you've got 2 or 3 really good vintage merit badges that are just not very common. It might be worth doing that.
Yeah, you should. It's like with anything. If you get a collection of anything, people are like, well, should I lot this up? Well, you could, but here's what you're going to do. Sit your butt down in front of American Idol, and while the kids are singing, you're going to look up every single badge or every single postcard or every single record, because if you have that $3,000 patch or $10,000 record, you want to pull that one out and sell that separately, and then you could lot up the rest if that's the way it needs to go. But when people say, all right, just look at this picture, tell me what's a good one, you got to learn to research for yourself, and then when you do that, you really become good at whatever you're working on.
You learn a lot.
And that's where you're going to make the money. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I've got a whole thing of pins, hundreds of pins. I'm going through each individual one. I actually found a 10-karat gold pin in there.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So
what year were they doing actual gold?
These were early. These were probably like 40s and 50s.
Wow.
So it's not worth a ton of money, but it was, just by going through it, I was able to see the 10K on there. So, but that's exactly right. You want to go through, and I'll show you a couple of examples of things that I've sold where, in fact, what I'm going to talk about right now are council patches, and give you an example. If you go to slide number 2.
So this isn't you, right? Scout stuff.
This isn't mine. This is just a listing I pulled up on eBay. So here's an example of a council patch by the Sagamore Council of Indiana.
99 cents for rich.
So for 99 cents with free shipping.
Oh,
Let me refresh that because I was as France. There we go. Much better.
So 99 cents free shipping. So it's like you think, that's, why am I getting into that? That's 99 cents. That's something you look up and say, you know what, not worth selling individually. This is going to be lotted up. But if we go to slide 3, here's another council patch. And this one sold for $420.
wow.
So quite a difference. And there are things I'm going to talk about where you can like sort of pick out the differences and try to figure out why one would be selling for $1 and another would be selling for several $100s. So the first thing is that not all patches are created equal. There are so many different council patches and even many different varieties of patches that could determine value. So when somebody joins Scouts, they'll go to the local Scout shop and get a generic council patch usually to put on their uniform. And those are most likely not going to be worth a lot of money because there's a whole lot available. The value is just not going to get that high. There are certainly exceptions. Somebody could go and get a specialty patch that was only available for a short period of time.
Okay.
But most of the patches that are council patches are simply not going to be patches that are worth a lot of money. But there are exceptions, and this one over here is definitely an exception. Modern patches tend to be pretty bright and colorful and some pretty cool designs. But there was a time when there was a lot more consistency in patches. And from 1955 to 1972, a council patch actually looked like this. And let's go to slide number 4.
So I just want to point out for those who go, how do you know if it's modern or not? Well, if it's got a QR code on the back.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be pretty modern.
Yeah. Holy cow.
So they were, this is something that was in use in the 1950s to the 1970s. You look at this one sold for $3.95, and I think this one actually had the free shipping too on it. I know the shipping says more, but I think that's a shipping fee.
See, I had to look at one thing and I forgot I was setting up a show.
Oh no, so it had $1.25 shipping, so about $5.
Sorry.
But we look at the next one.
Hold on real quick. There we go.
And this one sold for $48. Similar design, different council. So you get the patches. You want to take a look and see. These are actually super easy to research. Find out if you've got a $4 patch that should probably be lotted up, or find if you have a $50. Or I've even seen patches that are worth hundreds of dollars that are this same design. So it makes
me wonder if somebody famous went to that council, maybe, like Elvis or somebody.
I think it has more to do with, because again, these are older. These are at this point going to be about 50 years or older. Is how big is the council? How long maybe it's a council that was only in existence for a short period of time, and then they changed the name, or it merged with a different council. So it probably has to do more with how long and how many patches are out there. So it's supply and demand, really. Yeah. And I actually took a look on WorthPoint, and I found a similar patch. I don't remember what council it was, but in 2018, it sold for $2,310.
Wow, I want to find that one.
I want to find that one too. But you've got to research it. It's really, it comes down to research and how much effort you put into it.
This would be a great thing for your young kids to do. Maybe they're sitting around bored. Hey, look up all these little patches for me. And
yeah, definitely. And look them up, find the good ones, sell them individually, lot up the rest. So with the patches, there are going to be with the modern patches, there are going to be differences that will make things worth a little bit more. So I'll talk about Friends of Scouting first. And this is an annual fundraiser, and I was involved with it to help manage raising money for my local district. And if you give a donation, when I started, it was $130. I think now it's $200. You're going to get a patch, and it's going to look something like this.
Cool.
So Cascade Pacific Council, Friends of Scouting 2012. So every year it's a different design. It has the year in it. So these are not going to have, there's not going to be as many of these out there as there are the generic council patches. But even among these patches, there are differences. Like here's another one that came in a nice presentation folder. This one was for the 100th anniversary of Scouting. And this one has a gold border around it. And it tells you right in here that this is a special patch that was given out for somebody who was active in the campaign. So this is going to be a lot more rare than this one is. This one might sell for a few dollars. It's not worth a whole lot of money, maybe $5. This one over here, I recently sold for $30. And I picked up another one on eBay not too long ago for like $5 or $6. So I'm going to turn around and flip that for $30.
Nice.
So the more rare the patch is, the more it's going to be worth. So if you find something that has especially silver or gold borders around it, that's a patch that likely is a limited patch and is going to be worth more money.
Okay.
So here's something that I sold. Let's go to slide number 6. And this is an example of going through the collection, because when I went through, there were a lot of Friends of Scouting patches, and most of them were, I'll lot them up and sell them for a few dollars each. But this one I discovered was worth more, and I actually sold it for about $40.
Nice.
It's one of those Friends of Scouting, Western Alaska Council, probably a small council. It's from 20 years ago. So yeah, it's literally worth looking up every single patch. So, and you just want to kind of try to determine if you've got an extra special one in terms of rarity, because the council's not that big, or if it's a limited edition patch that only goes to either high donors or people involved in the campaign. So there are also many other patches that are available from councils. This one is from the California Inland Empire. It's a 2017 National Jamboree patch. So again, it's
monster truck.
It's pretty cool. And there's a whole set of these. So it's not worth a ton of money, but it's going to be harder to find, and especially as you get further along, just more rare than the common patches. Here's a World Jamboree patch that National made for the Australia Jamboree in the 80s. Here's another example. This is of actually my local council. This is from 2000 from an activity called Scoutrageous. So
let's go Scoutrageous.
Oh yeah, they have lots of names. So if you could find something with a date, an event, it might be worth looking at and looking at. Well, you should look up everything, but it might have a chance of. And I agree, Linda. The patches are incredibly cool, and I haven't even shown you all the cool patches yet. So when we posted this, there seemed to be a lot of interest with the thrifting board about Order of Arrow, where people were saying, yeah, those patches are worth more money. And that is definitely true. So what the Order of the Arrow is, it's basically a scouting honor society. You have to have a certain rank, you have to have certain advancements, certain service, and then you have to be nominated by your peers and elected. And it really kind of is a parallel universe to scouting. And it's also more exclusive. They say for every 100 scouts that start scouting, only one is going to be an Eagle Scout. The number's higher than one for Order of the Arrow, but most will be in and out of scouting before they could even be possibly nominated to Order of Arrow. So when you become a part of the Order of the Arrow, you're a member of what's called a lodge, and and they're all Native American names, so I can't pronounce them. But our lodge is called Wauna La Monte Lodge. They tend to have a strong Native American theme. The patches are pieces of art. They are just beautiful. So the Order of the Arrow actually has been part of scouting for many, many, many years. And the official name of the Order of the Arrow, and I'm going to have to read this, and I'll butcher it, is Wimach Tending Wingo La Sik Wita Heimui. Like I said, big Native American component to it, and that's a shortened version of that is WWW. So when you find Order of the Arrow patches, most of them are actually not going to say Order of the Arrow. I'll show you a patch over here. This is from my local lodge, which is numbered. They're all numbered 442. Wauna La Monte. And if you look on it, you'll see WWW. And that's the Native American name for Order of the Arrow. So when you look for these patches, you want to, not all of them, but many of them will have WWW on them. And it doesn't stand for World Wide Web.
What?
Because these patches have been around for a long time. So let's go to slide number 7, Jason. This is one from eBay. It's an 08 Lodge 304. It's a 5-inch council patch. This recently sold for about $1,800.
Wow.
Of course, they're not all worth you. I've been, you can find them $10, $20, $30, but it seems to me that there are very few what I would call common low price. You're not going to find a 99-cent OA patch. So if you find scouting stuff that has OA as part of it, especially some of the older OA patches, you've come across something that is really amazing. And as I was searching Worth Point, nope, my iPad just turned on for some reason. As I was searching Worth Point, I found one, I didn't get a picture of it, that sold in 2019 for $11,000.
Holy cow.
We're in the wrong business.
Well,
Screw these tiki mugs.
And they're so tiny.
yeah. Oh, they're. If you take a look, just do BSA Scout patch and just take a look through eBay. The artwork is just amazing. Here's another one over here for my local district. They're little pieces of art. They're beautiful, and especially the Native American stuff. They are just they're amazing. I love looking at them.
So OA sashes easily available.
You can get them. I've actually got some that were part of this. The sashes can be purchased. So, but there's some that are going to probably be worth money because as you go back in time, there are going to be differences, and that's what makes some of the patches worth more money. Is like a way you can tell with patches. You can look at the back of the patch, and you can tell, as you saw with the QR code, that's a patch that is very modern. I'll see if I have anything over here. There's like gauze back. There's just
so to answer Deborah's question, this one wasn't an auction. This was just a straight up buy it now. So
I believe that's a buy it now.
Yeah, when there's an auction, you'll see, even if there's one bid, you'll see one bid. You'll see 3 bids or whatever. So I'm all for list it high and let it fly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's sometimes auction may be the way to go, but it may be worth. And what I'll do with auction is I'll try to start the price high. If I don't get a bid, well, then I have an idea of where to do it fixed price, where the price of that, because some things are challenging to find prices for. Here's another one. It's a set, again, OA set from my local lodge, and again, these don't say OA anywhere on here. This is a service project at Butte Creek, which is one of our local camps. And the way you can tell this is OA is it's got the WWW on there. So that's definitely worth looking for. You'll see WWW a lot more than OA on these patches. There are other types of patches too. I don't know if I have a slide of this one, but you might find patches that say Wood Badge on them or Silver Beaver. Wood Badge is an adult training course that you can take in leadership. You go through multiple campouts, service projects. It's really a chance for adults. You were saying, Debbie, you're interested in becoming a scout. Well, you could become an adult volunteer and do a Wood Badge course, and you kind of go through all the different levels of scouting all the way to Eagle, and you'll find patches that commemorate these Wood Badge courses, and even current ones go for $50, $60 when they're for sale. Nice. And that's because they're very, very limited.
Yeah.
Hey, when you're finding stuff in the wild, you said you're going to garage sales. Are they writing Boy Scout stuff in the ads, or are you just having to stumble across it?
Most of the time it comes from conversations I have from people, because I think a lot of people don't even think of putting it out at a garage sale. It's like, well, this is something that, little Johnny did 30 years ago. Who's going to want his old Cub Scout uniform?
So what you're saying is we should all go buy a Boy Scout t-shirt to wear when we go out thrifting.
It may not be a bad idea, or just set up a conversation asking if they have any scout material. And sometimes, the uniform, the patches are gone, but the books are there. I went to it's kind of like a church sale, but I think it was for another nonprofit organization, and they had just tons of books. Just the look I was showing you. In fact, that's where these came from. I picked up literally about 200 books for $25, and I'm selling them for $10-$20 each.
Nice.
So yeah. And yeah, out in the wild, I think it comes from a lot of conversation is where you're going to do that. I once even went to a pawn shop and they had scouting stuff there. For $15, I got a uniform, sash with all the merit badges and all the ranks and cards from a scout from the 1940s. Yeah, I kept that one. So yeah, it's kind of out there. A lot of times it's not. Yeah, that's right. Las Vegas does. I've never been to the Las Vegas Scouting Museum.
I've talked to the guy that owns it, but yeah, I've never been there.
Yeah, it's on my last time I was in Vegas last summer with friends. It was kind of on my list to go check out. So that is one thing I do want to check out when I'm in Las Vegas. I'd love to see.
Strippers, Scouting Museum. There we go.
Yeah,
Cirque
du Soleil love that. That's an amazing show.
Oh, so amazing.
Yeah. So basically, like I said, I focused on patches here, but there's so much more. Ephemera. So slide number 8, Jason. I didn't even have an idea where the price of stuff at, but these were just like cards, probably from the 1960s, where you I don't even remember. I don't even know what they kept track of with these cards. The Gold Quill Award scoreboard, but a stack of cards. Sold these for $40.
Wow.
So the key to being successful, just like with everything, is to do your research. A $2 patch can look the same as a $200 patch. It could even have the same design on it. What may tell the difference apart is how the back is made. It may be having a special border where a very limited amount of those patches were made. So, and as I said before, Scout Law is made of 12 principles, and one of them is to be helpful. And Scouts are definitely helpful. One tip that everyone may want to look at is there's a lot of buying and selling and trading going on at an event called Traderies that a lot of councils will have. And you can contact your local council and find out. This cat's coming in. You could contact your local council and find out. She'll probably come up on my lap and drive me crazy. When these events are, and that might be a good way to go and pick up things and add to your collection or inventory, or just meet a lot of people who are local and into scouting stuff.
So even if you've never been a scout, so that's open to the public. Anybody can
be open to the public.
Okay.
But you find stuff. Use if you have Worth Point. This is a good reason to use Worth Point. It's been a huge help in finding information about this. I strongly recommend it. But even if you don't have it, because eBay only keeps the last 3 months. I know they have Terapeak now, which I haven't used that much because I have Worth Point. But you could even use Google to
I
find
would use
information.
Terapeak as much as I love Worth Point and I work with them. They miss some stuff, and I don't understand how the algorithm can miss some stuff, but I'll see stuff that isn't showing up on there, and it did show up in the last 12 months on eBay. So I definitely, it's what's active, what's sold, so 90 days, what's Terapeak, 12 months, and then what's Worth Point. So when I'm doing collectibles, I go down that whole line because I want to have an accurate photo. And you're right about the nuances that make a similar patch, $10 or 10,000. Tiki mugs are the same way, and that's why I try and teach, because people who just they see Tiki mug like, oh, Jason talks about these, we should probably flip it. Well, these two look alike. This one's worth 100, this one's worth 1,000. But man, the nuance, you just got to know the nuance, and that comes with anything. But that's why people come to me and ask, and now, unfortunately, Alan, you put yourself out there, so you're gonna be getting those messages from garage sales. Is this a $100 patch?
No, I would, if I can't find the answer, I can find somebody that likely can, or point people to directions, because there are Facebook groups dedicated to patch collectors. And again, it's a lot with scouts. They tend to be helpful. They tend to be friendly, and if they've got information, they tend to be pretty free on sharing it. So there's lots out there, and just as with anything, it's the research. Like I media is actually my specialty, and there could be a record that could be worth $100 or $2, depending on so many different factors.
Oh yeah, what printed
And-
is.
Right. And if you take the time to learn that and figure that out, you'll be a better reseller.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know media well, the White Album by the Beatles, the actual record version of it, 547 versions on vinyl. So when you sell, you have to know which of the 547 you have, because one of them's worth thousands and one of them's worth about $3. So you got to know, because you don't want to lose, you don't want to leave money on the table. You can't just go look at eBay on certain things like that. You got to get into the nuances, whether it be records or badges or tiki mugs. So Summer says, if you lot from one estate from one Boy Scout, should you lot together? Like we said earlier, look them up, each individual one, because if you got a $1,000 patch, you don't need to lot it with a bunch of patches that are worth $5 each.
Yeah, absolutely. Lotting is useful, and there's a lot of stuff that I have that's part of this that it's just not going to be worth selling individually. So I've created like lots of patches, like 20 council patches. I've created lots that include things like pins and neckerchiefs, and they sell. But you want to look it up, because you don't want to sell something that's worth $100 as part of a lot that sells for $25.
For sure.
If other resellers may want you to, or other collectors. Like I said, I look on eBay to find things for people who don't take the time to do that. That's another great way to find stuff.
So what of the thousands, how many are still unlisted?
Oh, most. I've probably listed something that takes up the entire space, maybe 2 or 3 Home Depot boxes, the 16 by 12 by 12. And the amount that I've sold probably would fill like a large priority mailbox. And I've already, I'm keeping track of the entire collection. Usually when I buy large collections, and this one I didn't get it on the cheap, because it's a friend of mine, wanted to be fair, and I knew he needed, I think we reached a price that both of us are happy with. It'll take a long time to get to the break-even point, but I'm strongly working my way there. Things are selling.
And so easy to ship, Deb. This ain't no Peggy and Regan water ski TV VCR combo. This is a patch about that big.
I know like this week I actually sold a 1982 compact computer, portable computer. It weighed 35 pounds.
Oh.
So yeah, when I ship that, and then the next thing is like a Boy Scout patch or a neckerchief like this that just goes in an envelope with protection. Yeah, it's really easy to ship.
Wow, you really have to have a good system organized. Do you put them in little Ziploc bags with the transaction number on them, or do you have little drawers?
So I have my shelving system is I have shelving numbers, and then within each, which are banana boxes, and then within that there are so it's like box SO1A. So that's a smaller box within a larger box. So it makes it a lot easier to find things. Because if you don't have this organized, you will spend your life trying to find things.
So I know we're not going to get into it tonight, but just as a general, Mark says, what about ephemera like Old Scout soapbox derby items, trophies, and stuff like that?
Absolutely. In fact, part of the collection, I got these wooden crate boxes. They sell for $100 each. They'll be a little bit harder to ship than a patch, but I'm up for it. And there's just I've got trophies that I have to list. I've listed some some awards and stuff. I've got artwork and posters and prints. Part of this collection that's really neat, and I haven't listed them yet. There's a Boy Scout camp called Spirit Lake, which is up at Mount St. Helens. And it was destroyed during the 1980 eruption.
Oh, wow.
And I've actually got some T-shirts from this camp. So
wow. Were they original from back before?
They're original. Yep, they're original.
Yeah, I never thought about places that got destroyed by something. Yeah, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
So,
all right. Go ahead, Deb.
I was going to say, all these badges and all this stuff, are these kind of like fundraisers to support the Boy Scouts? Or is it just like, hey, we want to have lots of stuff, lots of swag, so we're willing to buy it?
Yeah, like I said, Scouts love bling. And they, like the merit badges, you get that for
Right.
completing a merit badge. You get scout, rank badges for completing ranks.
Oh yeah, that's so that you earn those more than actually just buying them.
Those are earned, but there's things that you can buy as well, like the Friends of Scouting stuff. I mean, technically that is a fundraiser, and that's giving money to the council. Like this one over here again, the Order of the Arrow. It's a service project, so you earn this by actually working and volunteering on a service project that happened.
I just think of all the work and time and talent that went into earning those, and then the moms and dads that sewed them all, did all the sewing to sew all those batches on.
Yeah, the sewing part. Yeah.
And find a Girl Scout. Get a Girl Scout to do your sewing for.
Yeah, lots and lots of sewing.
I'm a Girl Scout.
The question about tracking, it depends. There are some. If I'm selling a patch for under $10, I'm likely going to send it without tracking. If it's more, probably with tracking.
Now, are you doing it on the same eBay ID?
I do, but I keep I do a pretty decent volume, so I'm not going to slip below the threshold.
Gotcha.
I won't. Yeah, I won't do that because there's too much invested in making sure I've got that status.
Oh yeah.
All right. Should anything else, Alan?
No, that's my presentation. Unless
So that was
anybody has any
awesome.
questions.
I mean,
So excited.
yeah, it's something that was like, yeah, all right, cool. Let's talk about it. But now I'm like, wow, I'm excited. Like I can't wait to, talk about something I've never paid attention to at garage sales. Kids' clothes, just not my thing. But thinking about Boy Scouts and all that stuff now, I'm definitely going to be like looking. It's something that it's not an area I ever stick my head. Even in the thrift store too. Do you ever find the shirts in the thrift store?
Yeah, definitely. They're scouting. Scouting stuff.
Yeah.
And
I gotta go.
again,
Right now.
ignore the coffee cups though. Those generally are not going to be worth. But you'll see.
I found that out the hard way.
They're so big and they're harder to ship. So yeah, stay away.
All right, so let's end on your scores and duds, which are different than because we just talked about patches. So let's get those up there. Ta-da. And we'll start with the duds. So we'll end on the happy note.
Yeah. So this is a Harley Davidson shirt. It's sold. I purchased. I've been buying them over the years, but I know that your mom's has mentioned that the prices are on the downward on these, and that's definitely true. So it's sold, but I think I paid about $3 per shirt, maybe $3.50 per shirt for 100 shirts. I still have probably about half of what I listed, and I keep adjusting the price down, and it's just not wonderful. So I'm pretty much not buying Harley shirts anymore.
Unless you find 3D emblem.
Okay, there are some that I would buy, and I guess if I found them for 50 cents each, like 100 of them for 50 cents each, what I might do is lot them up to a larger lot. And this is a Starbucks mug, nothing exciting. It's just I sold it actually for about $22, but that's a ship price, so it cost these are a big mug, so it cost a pretty penny to ship it since it's over £1, and they just stayed listed for a long time. And I've loved doing Starbucks mugs, but as postage keeps going up, the price of the mugs are not going up, and it's just something that sits for a long time without selling. So it's just another item that I'm going to de-emphasize when I'm out finding things.
All right, so we're going to end on Alan's 4 scores, and man, they are amazing. But do us and Alan a favor, give them a thumbs up if you learned anything tonight, if you had some fun, if you enjoyed your time with us this evening. And if you've never subscribed, subscribe right there. Click the bell. The bell lets you know when we're going live. Oh, I forgot to mention, I am going to throw in a bonus live Tiki mug unboxing. I'm going to do it with my buddy who has been sending his mugs here because so many people won't ship to Canada. So we have another box coming up with grocery bags as packing material. So that ought to be fun. And he bought me a present as a thank you. So he wants me to do that live. So I'll look at that Saturday or Sunday afternoon. So if you click that bell, because we're not really planning a specific time, if we go live, your app will tell you, hey, we're live. All right, so let's end on your scores.
Okay, this is a comic book, and I had purchased a large collection at a garage sale. It's good condition, really nice condition. It's a collector, and it was just modern stuff, and that stuff is just not going to be worth very much. I figured I'd lot it up, but this comes down to searching what you have. Don't assume that it's all garbage or not worth very much. So going through, this is the first appearance of Laura Kinney Wolverine. And I looked at the price of this and was flabbergasted. Now, It was listed for a little while, and I got an offer of $300. So I went ahead and took it. And I think I paid $200 for about 800 comic books.
Oh, wow.
So just sold this one just for more than what I paid for the entire lot.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I sold this literally within the same hour as the comic book.
Dang.
This is a baseball card.
Whoa.
And back in this is not from 1991, but this is what a 1991 Topps baseball card looks like. Baseball cards is how I started the whole thing. I started the baseball card mail order business in 1982. So they would, in 1991, Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield was happening. And so sort of as a tribute, they would randomly insert these in packs. And if you got one, it was very rare and worth a lot of money. And so if you look up in the corner, there you go, you see the gold. So when modern Topps cards were doing, I think it was their archive series, what they'll do is they'll print cards that look like the older cards with newer players. And I got one in a pack because I collect this stuff still. And I sold this. I think I got 175 for this card. So a baseball card for 175 and a comic book for 300 in the same hour.
Wow.
That was a good day.
I don't, but I do.
That was a good day. What is this? So this is an example. I mean, it's pretty cool. Picked this up with a lot of other things at a garage sale. It's a satellite phone. It sold for a decent amount of money, but I wanted to emphasize here, this one sold internationally. And so don't be afraid of international sales. It's really easy to ship. Pirate ship, you know, I probably got the sale because others were too afraid to ship it internationally.
Wow, Alan really raised the bar on scores.
No kidding. Well, we're getting to the best one. The bummer is the picture's not there anymore.
It's not. Well, the picture wasn't there. Deb's gonna like this one. So I'm not bummed about the sale. I'm really excited about this sale. But I went to an estate sale. I think it was last summer, and it was a vet that passed away. And I didn't even have that much time there because I think I had to pick up my daughter from school. So I found some amazing books, including this Diseases of Exotic Animals. I listed it. There wasn't much of a track record, listed it high. This is on my other eBay account. I have multiple eBay accounts. Oh. And this is my media account, so it kind of cross-posts. I have a inventory management program that cross-posts with Amazon and other online sites as well. And so this is one that was cross-posted. And I thought it would for sure sell on Amazon, actually. So it does go to say that not everything does sell on Amazon.
That's right.
I got some lowball offers on eBay, whatever. And then I got a $500 offer. At that point, it had been listed for 6 months. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take it. And it didn't even have a picture because I assumed that it was not even going to sell on eBay. I assumed it was going to be an Amazon sale. So it listed it without the picture.
That's very much drop the mic. So if you're going to be a guest on Thrifty Business, here's the new threshold. $500 book with no picture.
Otherwise, I have 6 duds now.
Amazing presentation, amazing scores. Such a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah. I had a great time. Thank you for having me.
Oh, such a pleasure. Our friendship and cruising. Someday we'll get back to that.
We'll get back to number 3 at some point.
Yeah. Not soon, but someday.
No.
So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Like I said, give us a thumbs up down below. Head on over to the thrifting board, and you'll see all kinds of cool stuff there. Those of you in the Secret Beach, a lot of stuff between tomorrow night and Saturday. And then for everybody on Sunday, Mom and I will be back. And don't forget, I should have mentioned that. Mom and Dad each bought a 45 case full of 45s. So we are going to open those on Sunday. So we've been doing t-shirts 3 weeks in a row. Like a week ago, Ellen, she opens this case and goes, "Oh, there's like Beatles and Rolling Stones in here." I'm like,
I can't wait to see that. Cannot wait.
I love your mom.
So we're going to be opening that and seeing what kind of great little goodies Mom and Dad have in their respective 45 cases. And depending on how many, that might be a 2-parter, like the first case this week.
Yeah.
But before we get to the records, we will be talking about managed payments. We're all going to be there. So real quick, Al, we'll end on that. You've been in managed payments a long time now.
Yeah, I signed up.
30-second overall opinion of it.
Yeah, overall, really good. I signed up I went to eBay Open in 2018, decided to sign up. They sort of sent me an offer that I couldn't refuse where I got like 25% final value fee discount for the rest of the year. And I'm kind of grandfathered in where I actually don't have a per transaction fee. So I just pay a straight fee, which is amazing. I mean, that saves me hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month on fees. It was much tougher at the beginning because PayPal wasn't integrated and that created problems. You're going to see a lot of people, Chicken Little, saying the sky is falling. I mean, there's some issues. If you sell coins or adult stuff, you're going to have some issues with that. Sometimes I've run into a couple issues with international buyers, but it's mostly a back end thing. And it's just nice to take PayPal out of that loop because, if a buyer has a problem with a transaction, if eBay rules in your favor, they can go through the whole process with PayPal, and that eliminates that. And that's worth it from my perspective.
Yep. So we'll talk about that on Sunday too. Mom's going in.
I was part of a Zoom, and they said that there's 32,000 sellers currently using it, and that's $3 billion that they've gone through in payments on managed payment. I'm usually not an early adapter. I like to wait till the bugs work out, and then we use Charity. So they are going to fix that because that's been my holdout. Oh, good. They can't make because I use Charity. Well, now they're changing that. And I think after July or in July. So, and I did have a buyer recently who begged me to find some other way to pay me. He says, I don't use PayPal. My friends have issues. I'm sorry, this is it. So now I've had a taste of a buyer saying, I wish you had a different payment.
Right, because they can use the credit card, debit card, Google Pay, Apple Pay. And I have an eBay account that is not on there. And one of the reasons I didn't switch over is because when they were first going to do this, they were going to have a per transaction. So if somebody bought like 10 DVDs from me, they were going to charge $2.50 for the processing fee. And that was, with PayPal, like 30 cents. They've backed down from that. And in their latest update, they're just going to charge a single 30 cents per transaction, no matter how many items the person buys. So I'm ready to go with that account. But overall, very positive. Cool. There weren't problems. I mean, I was an early adopter. Just like I said, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. It saved me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. My volume stayed just as high or actually higher. And no issues on the back end as far as the processing part of it.
All right,
we're going to led us through that.
We're going to talk about that in depth on Sunday. So we'll see you guys on Sunday at 7 o'clock East Coast.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you all for tuning in live. If you do watch after the fact, we love you just as much. If you got any questions for Alan or myself or Debbie about anything you saw tonight, drop it down below here, and I keep an eye on it and respond to pretty much everything that gets asked. So thank you, everybody. Have a good evening, and stay safe when you get out to the thrift stores tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.